COVID. Now, we have some COVID information.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the mainstream media is not doing its job in preparing you people with new updates and facts, because the COVID information changes at least like once a week.
It does. It changes. I would say it even changes more often than that. It's all over the place, honestly. It's all over the place. So if you're reading daily COVID updates, you're just going to be very confused. And you're going to be one of those people that think, and I feel like that is widely contributing to why some people think that it's like the end of the world, that we're in the apocalypse, because if you are following COVID news every day, that's what you're going to think. Because every day it's literally something different.
True. I agree with you, but these updates are important because they kind of, sometimes the updates are
they are.
Yeah, sometimes the updates are about the effectiveness of masks. Other times it's about new ways the virus spreads. So keeping like the knowledge up is important, but because the mainstream media is obsessed with Trump, they just refuse to report on any of these updates. But that's why we're here. So a New York Times article was written, not New York Times, a Times article, Times.com, about neurological symptoms very common among U.S. coronavirus patients. And so earlier I suggested that, all of this freakiness around the coronavirus is emboldening my belief that this thing came out of a lab. Now,
I don't think that that's completely false. I think that is very likely too. Also,
people believe that me saying that, as of right now, to my knowledge, we don't have a definitive answer on where this virus came from.
No.
At first, they said it came from a meat market. Then they said it was from like some wild game.
Bat.
Armadillo. We heard a whole bunch of things. But to this date, there has not been a consensus about where this virus escaped from.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the freakiness of this virus lends me to believe that it has been manipulated inside of a lab. Now, that's different than suggesting that this is a bioweapon. I'm not saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But this could very easily have been a scenario in which scientists were out there manipulating coronaviruses in a lab, trying to see ways to combat it, ways maybe to predict future pandemics. Who knows what they were doing in there? Scientists are weird like that. And maybe the virus escaped from the lab. That is very, very, very possible. To me, if I'm a betting man, I'm putting money that this thing escaped from a lab.
I don't disagree with you.
So when this New York Times article came out with the update saying that neurological symptoms are very common.
Times, not New York Times. The Times.
Yeah, the Times. when the Times came out with this article suggesting that neurological symptoms are common among U.S. patients, I thought this is a big deal because people are out here looking for symptoms, and you might not have shortness of breath or a cough or a fever, but you might get headaches out of nowhere. And if you are someone that suffers from headaches and you're getting headaches out of nowhere, that is a good sign that, hey, you might have the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
Get a test. And so just some numbers here. Out of 509 people admitted to Chicago hospitals for coronavirus care this spring, 82% had a neurological symptom at some point, according to a paper published October 5th in the Annals of Clinical and Translational Neurology. Now, 509 is not a big sample size. It's literally just 509 people. But 82% is a significant number.
Of the 509, yes. And that could be like, neurological symptoms can be like muscle aches, headaches, like you said.
Yes. In fact, the most common were those two. The most common were muscle aches and headaches, which were experienced by about 45% and 38% of patients, respectively.
Yeah.
Now, but here's the freaky thing. Almost a third of the patients develop, I can't pronounce that word. Can you pronounce it, Shannon? I'd rather you sound stupid to me. Wow, you actually did. All right.
One of those words that you just, wait, what did you say?
I said, I'd rather you sound stupid than me, and then you try to pronounce
Encephalopathy? I have no clue.
Encephalopathy. It sounds like it's that. An umbrella term that refers to alterations in brain structure and function, right? And so what that means is an altered mental state, which is confusion, lethargy, memory loss, and decreased cognitive ability. Now, that is significant because I don't know if you noticed yet. There's been stories about people who have been dealing with the coronavirus way outside of the 2-week period.
Yeah. What do
So
they call them? Long haulers or something like that?
yes, long
Yeah.
haulers.
Yeah.
And so the mainstream media keeps talking about 14 days, 14 days. But you have about a third of people that get this thing that it takes them literally months
Yeah.
to get back to normal. And if you have months where you're dealing with neurological issues, where you have brain fog, or you have memory loss, or your cognitive ability is not where it was before the infection, that's a huge deal, especially when we talk about getting the economy back. Because one of the reasons why I think Republicans have been very, very destructive when it comes to coronavirus, this is a new virus. We still don't know what the long-term complications are going to be. And so just talking about the death rate is not a good thing.
No.
If a bunch of
You
people
have to
live with
focus
this
on other
thing,
things too.
yeah, exactly. If a bunch of people live with this thing, Shannon, but a third develop some type of neurological issues for like the next 5 years or for like the rest of your life, that's a huge deal.
It is. It is.
But no conversation because the media is obsessed with Donald
Literally
Trump.
no conversation. I haven't seen anybody talk about that. I mean, I've seen like some people talk about like long-term effects, like long haulers, but like even after you're cured and it's out of your system, like you don't really know what kind of permanent damage you're going to have to your
There's been
lungs, to your
yeah.
brain, to everything. Yeah.
There's been stories about people that had no symptoms at all. Go to like the doctor because they noticed, they're trying to run and then they're like, wow, I'm out of breath. If they go to the doctor, severe lung damage.
Yep.
So they had no symptoms. They felt fine. They did an activity that they did before they got sick and they noticed something different. Go to the doctor, lung damage. Do you know how?
Yeah. My mother is an X-ray technician. So at the beginning of this, when like all the cases were starting to ramp up and stuff, there were people that were like going for X-rays just for like other things, and like they felt fine. But then like when you see the X-ray of their lungs, you can tell that they have it because their lungs look terrible, basically.
Yeah, no conversation about this. That you could be fine, catch this thing, and still end up with like beat up lungs. And by the way, depending on who you are, your lungs might not recover.
Yep.
Right? Like the younger you are, the more likely your lungs are to recover as close to normal as possible. But if you're like 40, 50 years old and your lungs are damaged, your lungs might only operate at like 60, 70% to what they were before the virus.
I actually read an article a couple months ago that came out of China about how they did studies, and like I forgot the number, like 1 out of a certain number of people had lungs only had, when they were better, their lungs were only operating at like 60% capacity or something like that. Yeah. So that's scary when you think about that. And that is something to think about when you're not taking the virus seriously. Like even if you're fine during most of your time being sick, like you don't know what's going to happen to you after, or like the effects that it's going to have on your body long term.
There's been articles written about 30 and 40-year-olds getting blood clots, like kidney failure and liver. Like this is the freakiest virus ever. And at some point, when we find out where this came from, objectively, because everyone has an incentive to say this came from like the market or like nature. China has an objective to say that because they don't want to be blamed for this virus. The U.S. even has an incentive to say that it came from the marketplace because if it comes from a lab, then you might be looking at people trying to sanction China or increasing the estranged relationship we already have. So it's in everyone's best interest to lie and say that this came from a market. And so we might never know the truth, but I'm going to leave this here.
We're never going to know the truth. If it came from a lab, we're not going to know that.
Which is insane because we should know this.
We should know a lot of things, but there's a lot of things we don't know either.
If not for one reason, we are out here waiting for this vaccine. Shannon, nobody knows this, but we've never had a vaccine for coronavirus ever. Ever. Now, people would say, well, that's because there's never been an incentive, to create the vaccine for coronavirus, which is true because most people don't die from the common cold or really get that sick from a common cold. So there's no real incentive to create some vaccine from the cold, even though it would be life-changing if they did. Like, can you imagine never getting a cold ever again?
That'd be great.
But there's no money in it. When you base your healthcare system off of people getting sick, that's kind of what it leads to. But that's a conversation
Big
for
pharma.
Yeah. But we all sitting around waiting for this vaccine. Number one, we've never had a vaccine for coronavirus. That's number one. Number two, it's not going to be a widespread vaccine.
No, it's not.
Maybe like 2022.
Yeah, it's not going to be widely available for a while.
So, question: how long do we have to keep wearing masks? Or do you think we end up like the Eastern countries where?
God, I really hope not forever, because masks cause my skin to break out. It's so bad. I hate.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's terrible.
All of them, or just like certain ones?
All of them. It's called maskne. It's a very common problem, actually, for a lot of people. So yeah,
can't be that common.
Struggling over here. Well, that's good, Jabia. So maybe your skin is not that sensitive. So I have sensitive skin, so yes, it causes my skin to break out a lot. So you know, I feel like we are gonna have to wear it for the long haul, but I feel like I'm just not gonna leave my house because I'm tired of it. But yeah.
I think we might.
I feel like we are gonna have to. I feel like masks are gonna be around for a while because the vaccine is not gonna be, even if it comes out next year, like they're saying it will. It's not gonna. Everyone's not gonna be able to get it. One, I'm not gonna get it right away because I don't trust that. You know, we're about to be on some I Am Legend type thing, if you saw that movie. But stuff like that. I think stuff like that can really happen. So I'm not trying to mess around. I'm not trying to mess around with this vaccine that was rushed into production, and you don't really know the long-term effects of it.
Here's the thing about the timetable for the vaccine. One or two things has to be true, and both make me upset. Either A, they're rushing this vaccine and they didn't properly test it, they didn't properly clear it, and they're trying to push it out there because they want to get as many people as possible back to work. And if a couple of us die, it works in their favor anyway, because less people, they have to send free money to. Mm-hmm. So that's one scenario, which makes me upset because A, you're not testing this thing. You're giving people this untested product and just hoping that it works out for the best. That makes me upset. Or this other reality, which means there's just been all of this extra bullshit that you had attached to the vaccine that you didn't need in the first place. And so you've been taking years. I don't know, like maybe you've been too cautious or taking too long. And
okay. So, I don't think that's the case.
I don't know what's the truth anymore. I don't trust nobody. Look, I don't take flu vaccines for this exact reason. Now, I get a
flu vaccine every year, though.
I don't. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I am not an anti-vaxxer. I believe in vaccines.
Don't let the people come for you.
Yeah, I believe in vaccines. I just don't believe in vaccines for me. Right? Rather it be y'all if there's some side effect than me. That's how I feel. So if I don't take the flu vaccine, I damn sure ain't taking the corona vaccine. No.
Yeah, I'm not taking that. I'd be more open to, like, if they came out with like medicine or something that, like, if you take it while you're sick, I
would love medicine.
Your chances of dying or like becoming severely ill decrease substantially. But I don't know about a vaccine though. I don't know about all that.
I love therapeutics. Medicine is the way to go. I love medicine. Give me medicine. I love medicine. You know why? Because I'm already sick, which means I need this medicine. When I was in the hospital, and I had to take medicine like, every 8 hours, I didn't have a problem with it because I needed the medicine. Mm-hmm. So either be in insufferable pain or take this medication. Vaccines, I feel fine now. So it's like I'm risking something when I don't need it. Now, I know that's backwards thinking because the point of vaccine is take the vaccine so you don't need it. Like you don't need the medicine.
Yeah.
You take the vaccine now, and even if you get sick, you get less sick than you would if you didn't have the vaccine.
Yes.
But I'm just terrified that I'll get sick from the vaccine.
I'll wait. Maybe enough people will take the vaccine, and it won't be widely available, so that's not going to happen. Herd immunity won't happen for
a while.
Yeah, for a while.
Do you have any thoughts on Trump?
Come up with on Trump? Trump what?
Do you think he is moving along with his health? Do you think he's not that healthy? Do you think he is healthy?
Listen, I don't know. I'm very confused, honestly.
Did you like the helicopter?
This whole timeline from his coronavirus diagnosis to him being in the hospital to him now being not in the hospital and his treatment and him getting all these experimental drugs, which normal doctors are saying that those are only drugs that you should give to people who are really
Dying.
sick.
Yes.
Like, why is he taking it? I don't know. I don't know what to believe. I just think there's a lot of, I feel like a lot of it is a lie. I just don't know what parts of it are a lie, but I just feel like they're not telling us the truth about.
Do you believe he had COVID?
That's I feel like I'm half in, half out with that. Like, one foot's in and one foot's out. I honestly don't know. I thought he really did, but like now, like it's just like he's so nonchalant about it, and it's just like, really, like, could you have? Because like, but everyone in the White House is getting it now, so I guess maybe.
I was about to make that point. I believe he had it because everyone around him has it.
Yeah, so I feel like he really did, because like, yeah, like, what is it, like 20 people in the White House now have tested positive for it. So obviously yes, but like, the whole thing is bizarre. The whole story is bizarre. Like, why are you back in the Oval Office where other people go?
He definitely should not be back in the Oval Office. He should still be in the hospital. I agree with you there. Did you see the video of him when he got off the helicopter? He walks up the stairs, he takes off his mask, and he's trying not to cough.
Yes.
I was like, damn, Trump. See, he's a braver man than me. Like, Trump has bigger balls than I got. If I got sick, Shannon, with the coronavirus, and I was even mildly sick, trust you me, Shannon. I wouldn't leave, what was there, Walter Reed?
Yeah.
I wouldn't leave Walter Reed until a week after my last cough. That's how cautious I would be.
Yes.
State-of-the-art doctors, state-of-the-art equipment, access to medicine that you don't have anywhere else. There's literally no reason for me to leave other than to get myself back out there to try to win some election where every poll is saying I'm going to lose.
Yeah. I don't understand. And he's still positive. Like, I don't even understand why they let him leave. I don't get it. I mean, I understand that, like, maybe he's better. I know that they don't keep people in the hospital if they're feeling better, but like, those are like general public hospitals. Like, why don't they just keep him there until he was negative?
They do send people home that are positive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I'm like, they send the general population home when they start feeling better because they need the hospital space. But I feel like they can afford to keep him there until he's negative. You know, I don't know why they let him go home.
Totally agree. So COVID is still going on. Big deal. The lockdowns are taking place in multiple locations around the country. In New York City, at certain locations. Question: there's no legal authority, I don't think, that these governors have to make it illegal to run your business. Not that I know of. I don't know of any constitutional or legal authority that gives governors the right to determine if you are allowed to operate. Well, see, the gray area is like we've kind of allowed them to have these powers that the founders didn't give them, because permits, there's no constitutional like authority about permits.
Yeah.
But we've allowed governors to make it a thing where if you don't have like a liquor license.
Are you talking about you're talking about the shutdown of businesses in certain zip codes, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Shutdowns in general. Like, governors around the country are shutting down either their whole state, parts of their state.
Okay, so you're talking about the general overall
shutdown. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see any legal authority that they have to determine what business gets to operate and what business does not get to operate. I don't know of any law that we have in the books that would support that.
I'm pretty sure there is no legal authority for that.
Okay, we agree there. So, how come they're now? Once again, do I believe in the lockdowns? Maybe. I've read some interesting papers that are anti-lockdown, but are still pro-science, and they basically argue that the lockdowns don't actually do that much to stop the spread of coronavirus. Is more so the behaviors of the people. Meaning,
it's the behaviors. Like, definitely, like, and like, I understand that, but like, I understand why certain things can't be open. Like, clubs definitely cannot be open. You know what I mean? Because that'll be a breathing ground for stuff like that to spread. So I understand why we have to close those things, I guess. But I think they only have that authority because technically we're in a state of emergency. I don't know if this would be allowed to happen normally if like we weren't, you know what I mean?
True, but then you get into some like tricky situation where who decides what laws we suspend in a state of emergency? Because once you set that precedent, then you give the people with the power, they can just declare something a state of, man, they do that now with protests, right? Like when they declare it a unlawful unlawful gathering, then they can spray with even if you could be doing nothing. You could just be gathered and they say this is an unlawful gathering. Okay, I have a right to protest.
Yes.
And so we're giving these people this power during this pandemic to do these things because we're all afraid to die. And that's where the state grows their power. Whenever we are afraid to die, that's when Big Brother gets bigger. And no one's pushing back on this. No one's laying out their case. Some of the stuff seems like it's now. I'm not saying that what's happening in New York City is underhanded. So we might as well go right into it. Where DeBlasio and Cuomo are going after specific zip codes in New York City that, where they see the positive rate is above like 5%.
I don't really understand how shutting down certain zip codes is really going to help stop the spread if you don't shut down the whole city. I don't.
Dr. Burke said the same thing in a New York Post article. She said that closing down businesses is not going to stop the rise in cases. She's saying that based on what she's seeing, the rise in cases have to do with people's behaviors, not businesses being open or it's people. She's saying that the main source of spread right now are private gatherings, family gatherings. Those things are leading to the spread. It's not the businesses. But to your point, even when Cuomo announced the lockdowns, I'm thinking to myself, well, I mean, if something is closed in my zip code, I'm gonna just drive to another zip code.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying if the deli on my block is closed, I'm gonna go to another deli. That doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't help.
Yeah, so I'm not sure about the effectiveness of these lockdowns, but last night as we saw the Jewish community. I think are they called Hasidic Jews?
Yeah, or Orthodox. Yes,
Orthodox. Yeah. Whatever the least offensive term is, that's the term I'm using. Whatever the most offensive term, Shannon said that. Now,
no, I did not. What? No, I did not. Do not listen to him, please. Thank you.
So, the Orthodox Jewish community was protesting the lockdown measures by the governor and DeBlasio, and they got heated. It was crowds of people, no mask. Now, they've been doing this since the beginning, right? But this, people in this country, I get why. I just don't understand why. There is a fear of being critical of anything Jewish people do as a community because of the fear of being called anti-Semitic.
Okay.
So, for example, if Black people were having church and there was like spread amongst Black churches, they'd have no problem shutting us down.
Nope.
Because this is crazy. Being called a racist is not nearly as bad as being called anti-Semitic. I mean, you lose everything if you call anti-Semitic. Now, there's a bunch of anti-Semitism out there in the world. Let's be honest. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. It is. But I don't think Cuomo and DeBlasio are being anti-Semitic. I think they are going after certain zip codes and
I don't think that they're being anti-Semitic at all. And like people need to really stop throwing these racial terms around when that's really not what's happening here. I mean, if you have ever been to a Hasidic Jewish community, then you would look and see for yourself how they've been, especially throughout this pandemic. Like I said, I pass through that neighborhood in Brooklyn often, and I see them often in large groups walking around. A lot of them don't have masks on a lot of the time, and a lot of them are in large groups a lot of the time. So I understand one, that a spike would be coming from that area, because if you go there, you kind of see what's going on. You can kind of understand why that would be happening. I don't think that it's them being anti-Semitic. I just think that it's them. Is it the right thing to do? I don't know. But I just think that it's them trying to get a grapple in the city before it gets out of hand again. We were the epicenter of the virus in March, and I just really think that they're afraid to be back in that position again. So I just think that they're trying to take these preemptive measures. I don't know if it's exactly the right thing to do. I don't think so, but I don't think it relates at all to anti-Semitism.
Yeah. So basically, whether or not these are the right measures to take is irrelevant. We're arguing if the Jewish community is being targeted, and we don't believe that's the case. I don't believe that's the case.
I don't think that's the case. Not because they're
Yeah, it's one of, I think, like 10 zip codes that they went after this week.
Yeah.
There's like 10 zip codes, some in Brooklyn, some in Queens, and the city trying to get a handle on it. But once again, like even when you drive through Brooklyn, I remember one time when I was in the car with my father and we were driving through Orthodox Jewish neighborhood, and it felt like I was in Amish country. I was like, this doesn't even seem like a real span of blocks. It seemed like I was driving among New York City. You turn, drive down this neighborhood where everyone is dressed the same. You know, they have their community, they have their culture. No hate here, no shade. You are allowed to do whatever you want in America. No shade. And then a couple of blocks later, you're back in New York City.
Yep.
So it's not actually that strange that they aren't abiding by the same rules and laws. Don't they have like their own hospitals?
Oh, I don't know that. I don't know if that's
pretty sure they do. Like they have like their own hospitals, their own like police that operate with the police. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna Google that just to make sure that I'm not spreading conspiracy theories about you. Hold on. Let's see here. New York City Orthodox Jews Police. Let's see what comes up. Yeah, so it's called the Brooklyn's Private Jewish Patrols, and they have power. Oh. So a lot of Orthodox Jews, when they have a problem, they call them, not the police. Now, those I don't think they have like political power. So if they want to like, they can't like process DNA or things like that. They would have to then take that to the actual police. But they have their own structure that they built in their ecosystem. So I'm not shocked that they're not living the way that the rest of us are being instructed to live. That said, look, man, you gotta get a handle on this. And now, once again, I struggle because I don't know the science behind whether or not the lockdowns are warranted. But we have to be able to break through to everyone about the behaviors. And so if people in these neighborhoods, I don't care that they're Jewish. I would say the same thing if they were Muslim, if they were African, Chinese, it doesn't matter. If they're not going to abide by the rules, socially distance, wear masks, things of that nature, and they're just going to be, crowding into churches, having service as usual, no mask, we can't allow them to live that way, and then we can't live that way. But here's the problem with Cuomo and DeBlasio. They started this because they also never said anything about the protest. When people were in the streets, out there screaming, people say her name and this and that, locking arms, they never condemned the protest. In fact, I think Cuomo encouraged them. He said, go out there and protest. You can't say that and then come down hard on the Orthodox Jewish community.
Yeah.
You do open yourself up for people to look at you a little bit different, with their eyes raised.
That makes sense. And that's true. That is true.
Yeah, so once again, this is an example of Bill de Blasio just continuously being a dumbass.
Yep.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
And like I said, this whole thing of locking down certain zip codes is just stupid. It's stupid. How would that work? It just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
Do you worry, and before we get into Derek Chauvin, do you worry at all about like people engaging in normal I'm trying to find the politically correct way to say this, but I'm going to say it. Do you think it's possible for people to date, get married, do those normal things in the midst of a pandemic? Because I was thinking about what you said earlier about this. This is going to be with us for like a while. I think it's the 1918 pandemic didn't really like end until like 1920 something, like 21 and 22. That's like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So do you worry that people won't be able to engage in activities that we kind of need them to engage in? Because
But people are engaging in these activities anyway. People are dating. People are having weddings that people are going to
at the same rate.
Not at the same rate, no. But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
that's the thing. That is the thing. And I honestly don't have I don't have an answer for that. I don't really know. I mean, I really hope that it's not 5 years until life returns to normal. I don't think that life is going to return to normal in 2021.
Nah, I'm thinking earliest 20 is 2022 for me, I think.
Yeah, I think that's like the earliest.
Yeah.
But yeah, not at the same rate, but definitely life is gonna look a lot different. Definitely for the next year, 2 years, year and a half, whatever. Yeah.